Welcome to a podcast with no theme, no direction, and three hosts with no idea what they're doing. It's currently 2:32 a.m. and you're listening to the late night ramblings of madmen. I am your host, John, and I am followed by Grant and Andrew. Say hello, boys.
The final time.
Yep.
Oh, this is emotional.
One last ride. This is the final episode of the podcast. Pretty wild.
Yep. Alright, so just to kick the episode off blankly, what is your favorite, what's your favorite parts of doing the episodes?
Can I start, or Andrew or John, do you want to go?
All right, Grant.
Grant, you go ahead.
Okay. Man, this was a great show for a while, and I know that it only lasted, the heyday was like kind of 4-ish months, and then, the scheduling got pretty bad, and we kind of had to drop it, and now we're finally back. We're recording the last episode. It's pretty emotional, but I think my favorite moments looking back, just how well and how completely we dissected not just Minecraft, the game, but also just the surrounding community in Minecraft, whether that's YouTube or the Minecraft community of players. I don't even want to say we milked Minecraft, because that makes it just sound like that we were just endlessly using it for content. But we did more than just milking it. We dissected it. And that's what I think is really one of my favorite parts about this whole podcast has basically just been one long dissertation on and dissection on just the overall experience and current state of Minecraft, and not just the game. We've talked about the updates. We've talked about, Minecraft YouTube. We've spent a lot of time on that. I remember plugging the Life series whenever I could. And this past season was pretty good, by the way. And I can remember the times we spent talking about the Dream SMP and old Minecraft YouTube versus new Minecraft YouTube, and how to craft the perfect SMP with all the compelling storylines and collaboration potential and things the viewers would like to see. And then, moving kind of away from YouTube, how we talked about, just the community, and we talked about the outrage of the mob vote last episode. I think that was last episode.
It might have been, yeah.
The whole
Probably
controversy
was.
with that and the mob vote. And, we talked a lot about Mojang itself and the business decisions it has to make. And, we always good to keep in mind the fact that, Mojang does have a business to run, so they can't, maybe make all of the Minecraft community's wishes come true, because they also have to balance the economic side of it. And I think we did a good job of that as well. And, just kind of looking into Microsoft and how they changed it. Really, it just was every episode, the first subject was always the current state of Minecraft, but we managed to change it up and really think deeply about the community as well as the game. And I think that's kind of what stood out to me the most.
I can go next if that's fine. Y'all can hear me, right?
You're all good.
My favorite moments from the show were probably, the main thing that was my favorite is really all of the behind the scenes stuff. That was the number one best part for me, which sadly the people who are listening to this now, y'all never got to see any of that, but just everything we did that wasn't a part of the presented show, like planning it, we would brainstorm and talk together, just the actual act of you and a couple of your friends creating something collaborative together, and we were serious about it. I had all these ideas of recording B-roll. It really was for a while.
This was the life.
And we making all the B-roll, coming up with structuring episodes, what was best for the future of the podcast. And even though things did kind of fall apart a few times, I don't know, I think it was definitely worth it. And an honorable mention for favorite moment.
We were like Spider-Man. No matter what pushed us down, we continually got back up.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think an honorable mention as well was the discussion we had about the Red Dragon, where I gave a small monologue about what I might do at Mojang if I in Minecraft.
In Minecraft, of course.
Mm-hmm, right. In Minecraft.
That was a pretty good moment too.
It was
and
fun.
I still want that Red Dragon too, but you know, I don't know.
Pirate ship.
Okay,
Pirate
don't bring
ship.
this up again.
Okay, I would. I'm still Team John here. I'm still on John's side.
I will
I'd love to
find
see
the
it.
One Piece and become king of the pirates.
I don't know how, Minecraft Mojang could, but they could find a way. This is literally after I was just talking about how we've got to take like the business and economics into the and not be realistic about what Mojang's gonna add to Minecraft. This is literally after I just talked about that like 5 minutes ago. But
Yeah.
yes, I would like the pirate ship.
Yeah, let's go, pirate ships. Personally, my favorite has been the spooky segments, and of course the Minecraft segments. Some of my favorites have been the Mothman episode with Andrew, when he talked about the Mothman. And also, another one of my favorite ones, which we did last episode, was the debate between Minecraft and Terraria.
That was great.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
Being the moderator in that one, watching you two fight it out. I was listening to that podcast episode like I think 2 days ago, while I was playing Minecraft, and like just hearing y'all go back and forth was hilarious to me.
Spent so much time going over the different episodes, what we're doing, and stuff like that. It's been so much fun.
Right. And kind of like I will echo what Andrew said here about just like the planning was super fun. Obviously, yeah, you guys, the viewers in the future will not really be able to see that. I mean, we didn't record anything for a behind the scenes, so
Right.
you guys will probably never get to see that. But it really was fun, like planning out, making the itinerary, brainstorming with podcast subjects and stuff, and that was a great time. And yeah, this was kind of for entertainment purposes for you guys, but really it was, we just wanted to have fun with it. And if we haven't accomplished anything else, I think we all can agree that we have had a lot of fun making this podcast.
That is absolutely true. That's probably that's been the best part, I would say.
Yeah. Even though Andrew might hate it, I did enjoy the sports segments.
Yes, thank you. Validation, vindication.
I mean, I didn't understand any of it, but I enjoyed it.
Yes, all the Asian words starting with vacation, we'll throw that in there. Yes, validation. Somebody liked the sports segment. So, suck it, Andrew.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Grant. Thank you, Grant.
The serious minutes were pretty fun too, though.
Yeah, well, I think I might have failed then if they were fun, because that was the whole point.
Not gonna lie, I may have
That's
used
so
them to
true.
use the restroom a couple times.
The series, yeah. Oh, I have definitely
like,
played
cool,
video
there's a minute
games.
where I don't have to speak on anything. I'm just gonna go run to the restroom real quick.
That was everybody's snack break. Let's be honest.
I may or may not have played a few video games during the what's it called, the sports segment. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh sure, yeah. You couldn't miss my hard hitting sports journalism. Yeah.
What about the old
Oh,
Dragonville, on the phone?
Dang, that's tough though. That is tough. But yeah, that was fun.
I think you did good though. If I knew what sports were, Grant, I probably would have enjoyed your sports segments if I were more well versed.
I tried to make it like style it after like a realistic sports reporter. Like in the sports segment in the news, I was kind of trying to go for that.
Yeah.
But I think another fun thing about this was like you may have noticed that like through most of the episodes we kind of ended talking about anime. The thing about that was we didn't actually want to make an anime segment because we all felt that there were too many segments with the sports and serious and Minecraft and mod of the week, and then later the spooky segment. But it always ended up kind of just being like it kind of just fell into the role of like, okay, we got to end the episode talking about anime. And I think that's another just fun thing is like, fun fact, the anime segment was not actually really a segment. We just kind of threw it in there just because we liked it. And that was pretty fun too when we did our cringe top 3 favorite anime openings.
That was amazing.
That was great though. I loved every second of that.
That was fun.
It was fire. I don't think I would have. I I still don't think I would change any of my top 3.
I literally can't remember what I said. I think I said My War was first, and I'd still probably keep that. Crap, I don't even know. I'm gonna have to rewatch that episode. And you should too.
Same.
Right.
I know that I think both me and you had Bloody Stream on there.
I think so. I'm pretty sure it's Bloody Stream, and then did I have Yosuke's theme on there? I honestly cannot remember. It would be a moot point me trying to remember that, because that was back in like June or July, wasn't it? Or May,
I
June, or
think it
July.
would
I'm
have
pretty
been.
sure.
Oh yeah, for those who don't know, this podcast has been a year-long kind of project because our first episode was, let me see, our first episode was uploaded February 20th, 2023, and I don't know when this is going to be uploaded, but it will be at some point in December. So this has basically been 1 year's worth of work. Uh,
It's been a great year.
it's been a very great year. Yep, Year of the Madmen. That's always how I'm going to remember
The Year of the
2023.
Madmen.
Yep.
You know what else we did with the podcast? We also did the game nights.
Yes, we did.
Yes,
Those were so fun.
Didn't we only upload like 2 of them,
We
though?
only ever uploaded 2. We recorded more than 2, but we only ever uploaded 2.
If everything is going to plan, the viewers should be watching unreleased footage in the background, which it will be muted.
Yes, if things go to plan, there will be footage in the background.
Yep. But if John takes too long editing, then probably not. And you're going to be staring at a black screen just like last episode. No offense, John.
Sorry about that. There's a story behind that which Andrew and Grant will hear about, but the viewer will not, because it involves personal things.
That's a post-show kind of thing.
Post-show
Gonna
credits,
leave y'all
you
in
know?
suspense like that.
Oh, actually, hold on. Really, I hate to rip us back to the first topic, but we're probably gonna be needing to pad for time anyway. Post shows, extra great memory. The post show conversations we would have, those are fun.
Yes, I'm
sure. Oh yeah, I remember I was at it was basically like a summer camp thing, and bringing my computer specifically to record an episode.
Yep.
You're on that Madman grind. Let's go.
Yeah, I remember exactly where it was because we talked about the Among Us shaped McDonald's nugget.
Yeah, we did.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I
that
don't
was a
know
new low.
how,
that was,
but
yeah.
like I also
that
remember I
certainly
was
was
sick
a new low.
too, so
Yeah, yeah. I've been sick for a few episodes, but the Madmen. There was a time in our lives where the Madmen grind couldn't stop until that Madmen grind grinded to a halt. But before then, there was definitely we had to get those episodes out.
Yes, and I will say, kind of more on a personal topic, or kind of more like a personal like note flavor, if you will. Like this spring, it was a pretty good time for me, but I didn't really have too much going on like in my life, and so I was kind of able to throw all my energy into making these podcasts and brainstorming like all the subjects and things that we could have for it. And I can remember this being like the highlight of my life in like March and April. Like this was like the main thing I was doing. And so I'll always think of the late night ramblings of Madmen kind of not necessarily getting me through that spring, but for a minute, this was like the highlight of my life, the peak of my life, which for how unprofessional and goofy it is probably doesn't really reflect well on my life at that point in time, but it still was, because I just had a blast making these.
Yeah.
Yeah, these have been great. I mean, that has probably been the best part of my year, without question, has been the doing the podcast. And I no idea what's going to be the highlight of 2024. But I do know that we should probably get back on topic. Sorry, Grant or John.
Yeah, we love ranting about stuff, you know.
We love rambling about stuff.
Rambling, yes, gotta stay on brand.
Yeah, rambling. You know, we gotta stay on brand, even though we have no theme nor no direction.
And
but let me direct us back towards the game nights, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, let me go ahead and
Those
start this off. The Muck game
okay.
night, our first game night, is the best thing we've ever done.
that was a hilarious disaster.
It was
As
so
It
all of
funny.
the,
was. I feel
as
like we
all of
had a
these episodes
second one.
are.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. All these I don't even think, was that the one when I couldn't connect and it wouldn't let me in and I ended up like
Oh, you played
playing
Minecraft the
Minecraft?
whole time. Yeah, you were playing
Oh,
Yes,
Minecraft,
yeah.
I
dude.
remember
Yeah.
that. Oh my gosh, that was a disaster. And then I did finally play Muck in the second one we recorded, which I have no idea if that was even got released. But then I
It
just remember
hasn't.
just
And I don't know
die.
why.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a little
Let
peek
me
behind
let
the
me see if
curtain,
the footage is still there. Something might have happened to it. I'm not
I
sure.
should I should still have some of the footage. But
right?
it's
I
just my
remember
POV.
when I
Yeah,
did
I have
actually
some
play
footage
Muck.
of it. Yeah. Like, wow.
I'm pretty sure I only had like one like good round to that, and then the rest was just like constant death.
Personally, my favorite, now this might be a little controversial, but the Terraria episode was a lot of fun.
That was great. Yes, I remember
Yeah,
when
the
me and Andrew
duel.
had yes, the duel. The duel was great.
That was
That
It
was
so
peak
fun.
was.
entertainment. If you weren't entertained by that, you won't be entertained by anything. I'm just gonna put that out there. Go watch that after this episode. It's great.
Exactly.
The game nights, they're much better than the podcasts. I think the game nights
Yeah.
captured, to get a little philosophical. The game nights
We chose the wrong
captured
path.
we definitely did. The game nights, they captured the vibe that we were going for the podcast that we were never actually able to achieve. Uh, and that what we wanted from the podcast, I think we always ended up getting from the game nights
Yeah,
in the
Yeah.
long run.
they
Yeah.
were that was those were so much fun, and yeah, we only were able to record I think 4 or 5 of them. But honestly, we might just like switch to that. I think we did choose the wrong path, rambling on about Minecraft and crap, when we could have just been like dying over and over again and getting views.
Okay, impromptu thing. No promises. I just popped into my head. It wouldn't be a terrible idea if we continued those.
It would
I'm
not.
down for it.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay
Subscribe.
tuned. Yeah,
Stay
definitely.
tuned.
All right. Yeah, those game nights were peak.
When summer rolls around, we're just gonna start the grind on those videos.
That's literally what we said last summer, and that was when it ended up dying. We were consistent through the spring, and
We couldn't
I
do
don't
it
know.
when it was actually summer. That you're so
I
right.
Exactly.
You're
know,
right.
like I was literally like, "Oh man, it's gonna be summer, and we're gonna be like on that grind," and then literally the podcast just takes a complete 180 and just dies.
So, listeners, like we said, no promises about anything. Just make that clear. No promises.
No promises indeed.
Yeah, I'll definitely miss this.
Well, what will you guys miss most about the podcast?
I think I will miss just us three just yelling over each other in those moments that I think we've already had like 1 or 2 of those times, like just in this recording. But like when we're all just like yelling at it, there's times like last episode during the debate, and like when you guys were just like yelling at each other and cutting each other off. That I don't know, just the hilarious chaoticness and kind of like what I said earlier, the hilarious disasterness. Yes, that is like peak English right there.
Yeah,
The
disastrousness.
hilarious, yeah, the
Exactly.
disastrousness. Okay, that's better.
Mhm.
The hilarious disastrousness that is this podcast, and the fact that I just made up words right there just kind of proves my point, really. But that's probably what I'll miss most is just the disastrousness.
Yeah, that is
What
that.
about you?
If there, I will say, if there were like a way to sum up the podcast in like 2 words, hilarious disastrousness would not be a bad way of saying it.
Not gonna lie, that's how I would put it.
Same. Think we're in unanimous decision here.
We
But
might
Andrew,
be.
what would you miss the most?
I'm gonna be honest. I miss being able to dive that deeply into Minecraft on a regular basis. Because we would
Nobody else
always
will in real life.
no, nobody else will, and it was fun being able to
Nope.
do that. And it was also cool having for when the weeks that one of the things I listened to most was for when we were actually doing it regularly. It was something I could look forward to every Monday. Because like everyone's favorite orange feline, I don't really like Mondays, so it was a nice thing to have, nice thing to add
Yeah.
structure to the old life. and it was very fun. And also, of course, the thing I'm going to miss most is just regularly talking to just the three of us, and all the stuff that came with it. And we actually did. I will reveal this. We can't say where, obviously, but we did meet up in person a few times at an arcade. And the Madmen have met in each other's presence before. And those were pretty fun.
One
And I'm
building,
We
assuming,
aren't
one
just
building
online
held all of
friends.
them.
yeah,
Yes, one building held all three madmen
all
at
three
one
Madmen.
time.
It did.
At
You
the
might
same
argue that
time.
It
that's too much
almost
power,
burned
but
down twice
it
in
did.
like
It was unlimited power, honestly. Like all three of us right there
It was
at the
like the
same
Infinity
time.
Stones and the one
Yes,
gauntlet,
literally,
yeah.
literally.
We were more powerful than half the Transformers combined.
That's
Oh
pretty
my
powerful.
goodness.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty powerful.
Putting our egos aside, John, what will you miss the most?
I'll miss getting together every Monday and just being
Fair.
able to chat
Every
and
Monday.
talk.
Madman
Especially
Monday.
the post show talks, because those were always really fun.
Yeah, those
Yeah,
definitely were.
um, and those were definitely fun. And yeah, just going back all the way to the start, almost like I can remember when we were first kind of discussing that, and just kind of how that took off. And Andrew, do you have so why don't you tell the viewers the story of that?
Oh, okay. Basically, this is gonna be a long one, so strap in. The way these things kind of started. I have been kicking around the idea of doing a podcast for a while. I was supposed to do it with two other friends that I had, and we had talked about doing a podcast called The Gutter. The idea of that podcast was it was going to be like any possible topic from any other podcast flows into the gutter where it all gets like mixed up into this podcast. So it was kind of like a podcast where we could do anything. And that never happened. And I had kind of mentioned doing a podcast with just me and Grant. This was before we had considered doing. Me and him had like talked about one. Nothing ever came about that. And then at some point, me and John were talking about doing a podcast. And I was like, well, let's see if I can stop this from being the third podcast that doesn't, that becomes nothing. And I asked Grant, like, would you be open to doing a podcast now? Like, where he hadn't before. And he was like, yeah. So the three of us started calling. Now, just to put some preface to this, the three of us are all like friends now. We were friends before, but it was more like me and John would talk a lot, and me and Grant would talk a lot. And the only time John and Grant had really interacted was on a Minecraft server we were all in, which we never got the chance to talk about that on the show, but that was a disastrous server, but it was really funny.
It
Uh,
was.
Man,
that was
that would have made some
wild.
good content.
That would
Yes,
have. We
whatever.
still might
It's
story
in the
time
past
about that
now.
one day. It is very much in the past.
Oh gosh,
Um,
that was crazy.
but so that's the only time they'd really interacted was in that, and I was like, okay, well, that was 2022 and all that had happened. So we ended up. I was like, you would be open. It'd be me, you, Grant, and John, and I both the idea being like, you know, I would even though they didn't know each other well at that point, I was kind of the glue that made it all work. And we started calling to discuss it. And one of the first
At least
things we
you're
did
humble about it.
was decide. Yeah. One of the first things to do was decide that the name "The Gutter." One of our first executive decisions was that there was not a good name. And John, I think, it was John's idea. I don't remember the
It was
exact
my
origin.
idea. It's
The
because late at night I would have just like a bunch of random thoughts and I would go rambling on them in my head. So I tried to create a small diary and I called it the Late Night Ramblings of a Madman. So when you guys proposed for a new name, I brought up, hey, what about the Late Night Ramblings of Madmen? Like, we can use this, it's perfect.
and it was perfect. And the other thing was we were discussing how we were going to do like the brand of the podcast. This was all in January. And at some point, Grant had the idea of doing like a set time that we always would record it, but then that wasn't actually going to be the time. It was just like the time we said we were doing it. It was going to be like a part of the brand. And I forget how, but we came up with 2:32 a.m.
Yes, I remember that. I remember. Yeah, that was when I think we all first got on a call, and the first time we all three of us got on a call together, and we're like, "Yo, podcast." Yeah, because I had heard somewhere that it was like if you want to grow something like a consistent upload schedule, which is ironic now looking back, but a consistent upload schedule was like a really good way to like boost, consistency and to boost viewership. And so, but I wanted it to be at a specific time because I found somewhere else that like apparently the human brain, which this totally makes sense, but like the human brain like remembers like specific like numbers more. Like 232 is that was like a memorable number because like
Yeah.
is like a very specific time. It wasn't like 2:30 or 3 o'clock, and like 232 would like kind of, I was hoping that would like stick in people's heads, kind of, and get a little bit of consistency in there. And in retrospect, that was probably the most the most brain power I ever put into this show. But I'm proud of that, honestly. I probably should have had that as one of my favorite memories.
Yeah, that it was really cool. The
Yeah, that
idea.
it's become an icon at this point.
Yep,
It
2:32
definitely
a.m.
has.
and you're listening to the Late Night Ramblings of Madmen.
So we had a lot of things we wanted to do before we started the episode, but at one point we weren't ready yet by any means. But at one point I was like, you know what? My biggest problem with projects is I never just start doing them. I was always like, I would just like plan and plan for everything, and at some point it would get dropped off, and I was like, I'm not letting this fall into that nothing ditch. So I was like, guys, let's just do it. At some point we're like, all right, and we did, and then we recorded that one episode, uh, and that was our first ever episode. You can tell the lack of planning, and ever since then it just kind of consumed our lives for like a hot minute, while we were
And we got
figuring stuff out.
and we got so much better at not talking over one another
We
too.
did. That was our original problem. That was our first our main issue for a while, and that's not really a problem anymore. There's a lot of stuff that we figured out since then, and it's been really fun. Of course, the things that happened since then that we added were the game nights. Those are really cool. I don't remember whose idea those were, but they were fun. As well as we have met up a couple times in person. How many times? Just two, I think.
Two or three,
I
I
think
think.
it
No,
has
two.
just been two.
I think just two.
We
Yeah.
never we never did do that in-person episode, which I guess is probably one of my biggest regrets.
Oh yeah, we talked about doing that. Yeah, doing like an in-person episode. I don't see
Yeah.
how it wouldn't have been much different, but it still could have been cool. Uh, but yeah, I'm trying to think. Anything else huge that happened during the story of the podcast? Oh, the biggest thing, the biggest arc was we all started to get busy. Around after spring had ended into summer and into the fall especially, and it got to a point where we just could not record. Like we could record maybe every couple weeks, for a little bit of time, and it rarely ever matched up. And that's when we started discussing. Well, guys, I'm thinking, you know, we kind of started talking about, we had to discuss the other possibility, that being of ending the podcast, which nobody really wanted to do. And we tried to revitalize the podcast a couple times, like make it like like the big one was we had that original structure. It was very structured.
The
The
new
new format,
format.
We had the new format
That was gonna save the podcast, and it never did. No.
nope,
because we couldn't think of anything.
we
Kind of
couldn't.
like Andrew has said before, people who have more limited stuff to talk about end up like honing those topics really well. But people who just have like a broad range can't hone that broad
Right.
range.
Our freedom of mobility was our very weakness, honestly. Like the best
Yeah.
thing about the new format was also the weakness, the worst part about it.
It was bad because we started with no mobility, which made our podcast kind of dull, and then we got to too much mobility, which made our podcast like straight up nothing, and we couldn't come up with topics. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I will say one of the most fortunate things is that the three of us did end up working well together. That totally could have not happened. That could have been
Yeah.
the thing that ended the podcast. Like if y'all just like immediately hated each other or something, that would have been a shame.
We were that close during the debate 3 weeks ago. Was that 3 weeks
Yeah,
ago? I think that was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We were that close.
but that didn't
But
happen. So, good for us, right?
that's right.
And
Yep. I can remember, like, yeah, in the summer, a little bit about me. I did get a new job in June and then in July, and so I was like super busy, a lot more, and yeah, I can remember like just I really wanted to do it, and the new format was supposed to save the podcast. It did not. But overall, I think it is great how we basically made a redemption arc for ourselves, and like the fact that we're back here talking and we didn't just let this die, and a big credit goes to Andrew there, because I believe Andrew was the one who came up with the idea, like, we're gonna come back, do one more regular episode, and then do a final thoughts episode. And
Yep.
so,
Because we
like,
got to
this
finish
show
out
was
the cycle, you know.
right. This show was so
You
great back in
can
the spring that, like,
you can thank Andrew for ending the podcast.
right,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, but I think it is great how we gave ourselves like a redemption arc there, and like how it was so great back in the spring, and then we could have just let it die, but like we came back, we're here doing one of two final episodes, the other one of course being the one that already got released. And yeah, I think that was probably my kind of favorite part about how the story ended.
Well, I guess it's about that time. As much as I want this episode to go on forever, I guess we have to go on to the final spooky segment of the podcast. Let me pull it up
Yep.
real quick. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep.
Alright, so, in honor of it being the last spooky segment, I have pulled out my favorite SCP of all time, which is SCP 1762, which is here. It has two names. Here be dragons and here were dragons. The object class used to be safe but is now neutralized. SCP The SCP in question is, I believe, two different parts. One, which is just put in the standard containment, uh, just a standard containment cell, which is a cardboard box, roughly the size of a shoebox, and spray painted silver on it. On the exterior are the words "Here be dragons." And once you open the lid, little origami dragons will come out. During the time that the what is it? SCP-1762-1 will frequently open and release the origami dragons. And during this time, the box will emit some black smoke, which will quickly dissipate in around 20 seconds. And after the smoke, the origami dragons end up coming out. And sorry, I keep forgetting that I have push talk on, and I'm reading this and trying to give a brief example of it before I go into the story. Because it's not the SCP that itself that makes it my favorite. It's the story about it. So, basically, a quick synopsis. Inside the box is inside this box where it's spray painted on top. Here be dragons. You open it up. Black smoke comes out. Then origami dragons come out, and they're actually alive. So the dragons are able to fly around and stuff like that. And so in 2004, the first recorded instance of the box opening, Insight redacted, because of course everything in the SCP Foundation is redacted, was a note that said, "You have found us. Thank you. It has been so long since we saw each other last. Friends, the peace has been upheld. The giants and the behemoths have kept their word and have not caused any trouble since the last time we came. We missed your company. How has your family been? Do you still know how to work the room? You are welcome to visit any time." Later on, I can't go into the full detail of the story simply because of time, but it goes on to the next one, and it's friends, we apologize for a few numbers. This is after the box had opened and not as many instances had come out. We have remained in the fantasy for quite some time, and the others are growing impatient. We are trying to keep the peace, but, please, for all of our happiness, repair the room quickly. We know you are trying. Your family is the most imaginative of all of us. On a different year, I'm guessing, because it's redacted, 20 redacted. So I'm guessing it has to be at least 10 years. Yeah, it has to be at least 10 years. Otherwise, the last one wouldn't be. The second digit wouldn't be redacted. But appearing with 3 balls of yellow crumpled construction paper. These pieces were observed to shake violently for 5 seconds, then ceased all further movement. They were picked up by more of the origami dragons and then returned to the box. And a letter that said, "The giants were foolish. Your room is not ready to accept them yet. We're sorry, friends. We hope that you can still we hope we can still see you, but the time is growing short for our happiness." Again, another redacted amount of days or years afterwards, 5 instances of the origami dragons emerged carrying another document. They immediately returned back inside the box after dropping it on the floor, saying, "Tensions are rising. Fantasy is becoming darker. We, the serpents and the hydras are furiously trying to hold them back, but the giants and the elves wish to strike and make an entrance. They say that your family has grown stupid and ignorant. We hope this untrue. It would sadden us greatly." And then one final one emerged from the box. One final dragon, crumpled with its wings torn, and just a small letter, which said these 3 words: "War, goodbye, friends." Roughly 2 hours later, the box began to shake violently and emitted white flames from the center of it, burning the entire room of 1,700 degrees Celsius, which I'm gonna see how hot that is in Fahrenheit for us stupid people. Do you guys know what it is?
No,
How
I
hot?
don't
What
have
Fahrenheit
that
is?
information.
Oh, that's 3,000. That's a little over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's 1,700 Celsius, and in Fahrenheit that is 3,092 degrees.
Dang, that's hot.
That is crazy.
The box was destroyed afterwards. The box later reappeared within the same room with the words, "Here were dragons." Of course, I'm having to cut some of the story short, but again, that's one of my favorite stories. If you guys want to learn more, I highly recommend searching it up. It's an amazing story. And yeah, I'm sorry for keeping you guys with my horrible reading skills.
That sounds pretty cool. Always cool to hear somebody talk about what they're passionate about. Um, so Yeah, I mean, that was the final spooky segment, which technically is kind of the final segment, if you will, of
Ever.
the podcast,
Yeah.
holding back tears. Um, so, just kind of another thing, one memory I think that we forgot to mention, of course, is something that's very close to Andrew's heart and something he's very passionate about. What is it, Andrew?
In your first episode of this podcast, it was just kind of squeezed in at the end. Me versus the two of y'all had a bit of an argument about what a Spartoi was. Now, if you don't know, my YouTube channel that's also about as dead as this podcast is called SuperSpartoi, and that is because of some Greek mythology characters that appeared in the Aeneid, or not the Aeneid, sorry. Well, of course, I'm not gonna be able to remember the name. It's the one, the Argo, the story about Jason and the Argonauts. In that
Oh
story,
yeah.
Jason,
Right.
while he's trying to win his, I think it's like wife or girlfriend, I'm trying to remember. He has to basically these guys they take the teeth of dragons and they sow them into the ground like a field, and these warriors sprout from the ground like crops, and he has to fight them. Now, in a lot because they come from the ground, in a lot of depictions of these creatures, they are depicted as skeletons. However, that's not what they are. They're their own thing. However, some people,
Sure
not
they are.
naming names, some people insist on referring to them as skeletons. Now, my Minecraft skin in Bedrock, um,
It's a
the,
skeleton.
is it's not a skeleton, it's a Spartoi, and it comes from
It
the
is a skeleton.
it's not a skeleton. It might look like that, but it isn't. Just the
Oh,
skeletons
right.
are the interior physical structure of a human, right? Made out of like calcium and
Mhm.
crap. And a Spartoi, those come from dragon teeth, so it's completely different. And it's from the Greek
What are
mythology
teeth?
mashup
They're
pack.
bones. Teeth are
Yeah,
bones.
yeah,
Teeth
they
are
are.
bones.
Yeah, they are. They totally are. But like, no. So yeah,
But like, no. What kind of
But they
scientific
are
argument is
though.
that? Come on.
yeah, they are. They
Let's
are.
think. Let's think. Okay, so
Hmm.
as you correctly stated, a skeleton is like, the framework of a human body or
Yep.
any like vertebrate. And but if a skeleton is sticking out and like there's nothing on the skeleton, that is what pop culture defines excuse me, as a skeleton, like a spooky scary skeletons. And if the Spartoi are depicted with their skeletons like sticking out, like there's nothing on the bones, they are
Hmm.
skeletons by classification. No matter what they
Yeah.
come from, no matter what you do, they are skeletons. That's just I rest my
No,
case here.
no. Here's why. Because part of being a skeleton is that you're the inside of a human, and they've never been inside of a human. Uh, Also,
What
when
if
you're
they're
saying,
made of bones? They're made of bones.
let's look at some of the original depictions of Spartoi, they were just dudes. If you look at classical paintings of them, let's see. Let me go ahead and paste the smoking gun into the chat here. See, this is one of the oldest paintings of Spartoi. Those are just some guys.
Well, maybe he didn't know what he was
I
talking
gotta look
about.
for this.
Huh. So, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I guess that is one thing about this podcast that will never be settled, one thing that will probably go on forever. Two sides always divided.
Always, yeah, forever at
Um,
war.
Forever at war, an eternal civil war. So
Yep.
poetic, but yet so sad. Man, is it that time already?
It's our
Is
second to
it that?
last topic. I think we got to talk about what's it called?
What is it called? You tell me.
Ah,
What is
you're
it
right.
called?
What is it called? Our plans for the future. Which honestly, we've already kind of given that. For me, I'm gonna continue to work on like a couple video essays for my channel. My channel also just don't expect anything from there. I have other things I'm working on in life, and that's kind of slipped back in importance. We may big letters might do some other game nights, and we might publish some unreleased game nights. We might actually record more. Doubtful, but we might. We might do another podcast about gaming. We've been talking about doing a gaming podcast. There's a lot of things we could do, but nothing is really promised. And honestly, hate to say it, kind of like the end of the Truman Show. You can take heart in this. The three of us are not gonna like stop being friends because the podcast is over. We're still gonna hang out and call and meet up in person, probably at that same arcade. Uh, and we're gonna be fine. It's just it's gonna be a shame leaving this behind and leaving y'all, but we're looking at bigger and better things in the future, and we're never going to forget 2023 as the year of the Spartoi. And I'm going to miss it, but
You
I
think
think
you mean the
year
Madman?
of the
oh, you're the
Madman.
I
Madman. Oh
think
my
that's
gosh,
what you mean.
verbal. What's it called? Verbal. What? Sorry.
Right, sure. Just an innocent little mistake. I see what you're doing.
Little verbal slip there. Excuse me. If y'all
Right.
want to remember it as the year of the
Right.
Spartoi, y'all definitely can. But there are other ways to
So,
check us out. Well, not really, Grant. Grant, you're kind of off the grid.
yeah,
But
just living life.
living life. You can find some of my other work in the description, either at my main channel, SuperSpartoi, or at TuperSpartoi, my second channel, where I have a lot of, on my main channel, I mostly do like video essay type stuff. That's what I will be doing when this come out.
Videos.
I
And
know,
for
I might.
one
I will
last
say,
plug, you can find me over on Twitch.
yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. And
Grant, what are you planning for the future?
I don't know. I mean, I think the three of us will definitely stick together as bros, as amigos. But just gonna hopefully continue on with my life, try and make something of myself here. That's trying not to get too deep in there, but yeah, just gonna keep living on life, and hopefully it all turns out okay.
Good way to do it,
Probably
man.
not as far. I think if you meant as far as like media is concerned, like as
Yeah.
far as like channels and stuff, okay, that's probably what you meant. That I just kind of gave you an overview of my life, but as far as media is concerned, I don't have anything planned. You can always, just I don't know, maybe someday I'll decide I want to do a channel, but until my schedule clears up a substantial amount, don't expect anything from me. But I might make some guest. In fact, I'll probably make some guest appearances on their channels. So if you want to hear some guy
Yeah,
ramble more and
let's
more about
go.
sports,
Yeah, let's go.
I won't be far. I won't be far.
All right. Well, I
All
think,
right.
John, you want to do the honors?
Oh,
I'll
no.
have us head out.
All right.
My heart.
As the man who gave this podcast its name and also edited it almost the entire time.
Yeah.
Well, you have joined for the final time the late night ramblings of madmen at 2:32 a.m.
Holding back tears.
Yeah. Bye, guys. It's been great. Thank you for anyone who did actually watch this as my final message. Anyone who did actually watch this.
It, my bad.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
I just felt like an older goodbye, you know.
God.
We still have to say our crap, John.
I'll bring it back.
Okay, it's fine. No, I'm still recording. I will send you my backup, and you can have this as like an outtake. This is gonna be hilarious. It's gonna be hilarious.
What if you left this in just as like a final doing our?
Oh, absolutely. No.
Oh,
John,
yeah.
you have to leave this in.
my gosh.
Okay. Thank you. If anyone's actually watched these, that's really cool.
Yes. You're amazing. We love you. Okay, bye.
Yeah. Bye. Love y'all. Bye.
Later.
Thanks for the ride.
Yeah. Bye.